Found out my mother-in-law was slowly gaslighting my husband to push me out of my own family. So I installed hidden cameras and waited. My mill spent 8 months secretly building a fake custody case against me. I let her spring the trap before dropping my own evidence. I never thought I'd be the kind of person who installs hidden cameras in my own living room. But here we are. To give some background. My husband, Lucas, 34M, and I, 32F, have been married for 6 years. We live in Denver and have a 3-year-old son, Oliver. Before I had Oliver, I was a senior interior designer. I took about 18 months off after he was born, and honestly, I loved it. But by month 16, I was losing my mind. I missed my career. When my old firm offered my job back at 3 days a week, I cried happy tears and took it. Lucas was completely supportive, but we were stressed about the daycare waitlists in our area. Enter my mother-in-law, Margaret. Margaret had lost her husband a little over a year prior. It was sudden, and she was incredibly lonely living by herself in the suburbs. When she heard about my job, she immediately offered to move into our guest room temporarily to watch Oliver. Lucas was thrilled. Free childcare, and it gave his mom a sense of purpose again. I had this weird, cold feeling in my gut about it, but I pushed it down. First, it was great. I went back to work. I felt like myself again, and Margaret was making dinners and doing pickups. But then, the weird little things started happening. I'd get home from a long day and find dinner already eaten, the dishes done, and Oliver already bathed and in pajamas. I didn't want to bother you. You look tired, Margaret would say. It sounded nice, but it felt like I was being slowly erased from my own evenings. Then came the comments. She never raised her voice. It was always framed as concern. She'd watch me yawn on the couch and say to Lucas, "Working moms have it so hard. She just seems so disconnected lately. I don't know how she does it." Or, when Oliver was being a normal, clingy toddler with her, "Kids can tell when something's off at home. Even if we can't." Lucas brushed it off at first, but slowly, I could see it getting to him. He started coming home quieter, watching me weirdly. One night he asked if I felt like I was checking out of being a mom. I was furious. I work 3 days a week and spend every other second with my family. But the seed was planted. The worst part was Oliver. Margaret would crouch down and say things to him like, "Mommy's very busy with her work now, isn't she? But Nana's always here. Nana's never too busy for you." By late summer, my 3-year-old started saying flat out, "I don't want you. I want Nana." I spent a lot of time crying on the bathroom floor, telling myself it was just a phase. Then in September, I was clearing out a hallway dresser to make room for winter coats and found a plain navy notebook buried in the bottom drawer. I opened it. It was Margaret's handwriting. The first few pages were grocery lists, but then it turned into a diary. Lucas doesn't see it yet, but he will. I just need to keep track. Every time she snaps at Oliver, every time she's late, judges like patterns. No judge is going to hand primary custody to a distracted, resentful working mother when there's a grandmother right there already doing the real parenting. My blood ran ice cold. I kept reading. It was 8 months of my life, completely twisted. A night, came home late from a deadline, was written as "abandon the home." Child crying for her. A morning I got frustrated cleaning up a spilled bowl of cereal became explosive temper. Frightened the child. At the back she wrote, "Once there's enough written down, I'll show Lucas. He needs to see this happening slowly so it feels like his idea to leave. By the time she realizes what's happening, it will already be done." She wasn't just trying to be the favorite. She was building a fake paper trail to convince my husband to divorce me and take our son, with her stepping in as the primary caregiver. I didn't scream. I didn't confront her. I took out my phone, photographed every single page, put the notebook exactly where I found it, and went to bed. The next day, on my lunch break, I walked into a family law attorney's office. I asked her what my rights were and how I could prove what was happening in my own house. Because Colorado is a one-party consent state for audio. But I wasn't in the room for these conversations. My lawyer advised me to install video-only cameras in the shared living spaces to avoid any wiretapping laws. That weekend, while Margaret took Oliver to the aquarium, I put tiny, hidden cameras in the kitchen, living room, and hallway. For the next 2 months, I played dumb. I smiled, ate her dinners, and ignored her passive-aggressive jabs. At night, I downloaded the footage. I caught her on video coaching my toddler to pull away from me. I caught her on the phone with a friend saying, I think she's mentally struggling more than Lucas realizes. I even caught her standing alone in our kitchen, literally rehearsing what she was going to say to my husband. Stick to the plan. Small things. Let him come to it on his own. Finally, the week of Thanksgiving, she made her move. She asked Lucas and me to sit down in the living room for a serious family conversation. She pulled out a leather folder. Inside were drafted separation papers she had paid a lawyer to write up, heavily favoring Lucas for full custody, along with typed up copies of her notebook pages. She put on this incredibly fake, tearful performance. "Lucas, sweetheart," she said, "I didn't want it to come to this, but I have it all written down. The neglect, the temper. For Oliver's stability, you need to ask her to leave." Lucas looked like he'd been hit by a truck. He was staring at these typed pages, reading this horrific, twisted version of me, and I saw actual doubt in his eyes. He had been manipulated for almost a year before he could say a word. I reached for my laptop on the coffee table. "Before anyone signs or agrees to anything," I said, "I think you both need to see something." I opened my screen. First, I pulled up the photos of her actual handwritten notebook, zooming in on the sentence, "Let him come to it on his own." "So it feels like his idea to leave." Margaret went rigid. Then, I hit play on the video compilation. Lucas sat dead silent as he watched his own mother coaching his son to hate his wife. He watched her rehearsing her lies to an empty room. When the video ended, the silence in the living room was deafening. Lucas was completely pale. He just looked at her and whispered, "Mom, what is this?" Margaret's sweet, concerned mask completely dropped. She looked panicked, then exhausted. She started crying, real tears this time. "I just didn't want to lose you both after your father died. I couldn't just sit in my house alone and watch my life disappear." It was pathetic, but it didn't change what she did. Lucas stood up, walked to the hall closet, and pulled out her suitcases. He told her to go to a hotel and that he needed her out of our house immediately. She didn't even argue. She packed and left within 10 minutes. It's been a few months now. Lucas and I are in marriage counseling. He has apologized to me 100 times for letting her get in his head. We filed for a civil protection order, and for now, Margaret is only allowed heavily supervised visits in a public place, though Lucas hasn't even wanted to arrange one yet. The best part, kids are incredibly resilient. Without Margaret whispering poison in his ear every day, Oliver was back to being my shadow within a month. She spent 8 months trying to destroy a family just to keep herself from being alone. Now, being alone is exactly what she's got.